Welcome to the good, the bad, and the sequel with your hosts, Doug and Jamie.
Oh, Kirsty. So eager to play. So reluctant to admit it.
Welcome back. This is the movie podcast where we're talking sequels and we do it in two parts. The first, an interview with an actor or someone involved that made the film worth watching. And the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. Really hope you enjoyed last week's interview with Nicholas Vince, who plays the Chatterer Cenobite in Hellraiser 1 and this week's sequel, Hellraiser 2. He was great. We talked about everything from how he met Clive Barker to his love for Netflix Christmas Lifetime movies. It went all over the place, but he was a great dude. But before we get into Hellraiser 2, and I know Jamie texted me during, he was not having a good time watching it. I have to introduce you to my partner in the sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how you doing, man?
Well, Doug, this is the first time I've seen Hellraiser at all. I've never seen any of the movies. So I watched, Hellbound for the first one, the first time watching it. And honestly, I don't know what the hell I just watched. I really don't. It's an extremely trippy movie. It kind of reminded me of Terror Tunes in a way. Just like
I agree with that.
Terror Tunes. Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
You might be better off not hearing about it.
I'm definitely going to Google it after this.
Oh, you have to. Yeah, we interviewed the director and creator, and it's one of those things you'll never see anything like it. It was like one of those movies. It came out in, I think, 2002 or 2000, and it was like in Blockbusters all around the country, like one copy, and it was getting so popular. It was to the point that there was 10 copies because it was like one of those like
it's like a cult movie, like a cult movie kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's cheesy, but it's all over the place.
Yeah, those are the best.
So you can, if you're watching this, you see our special guest this week. If you're listening, you might just hear her voice, but it is adult film star Britney Amber. We interviewed her way back in May, and she was just so cool and supportive, like retweeting the interviews that we do. And the one thing that was really cool, she just recreated our podcast and posted on Instagram, which just means the world. And she has a movie that it's out on DVD right now, but is it out for on demand? You and Eric Roberts in the arrangement?
Oh, yes, it is. That just barely dropped. And I actually put an Instagram post that has a huge list of all the platforms that's available for VOD. So yes, I know. Go watch that now. So yes, it's an indie thriller. So
I interviewed Eric and I talked about you. I interviewed Eric Roberts and his wife.
I'm sorry?
I interviewed Eric Roberts and his wife a few months ago, and I was like, I interviewed Britney, and he's like, she was great.
Oh, he remembers me. Oh, awesome. Yes, that was an awesome shoot. I'm so happy it's finally out because it was supposed to be out in the middle of the summertime, and I've been just waiting on bated breath. When is it? Now it's finally out. So happy.
That's amazing. And it's so cool. The way this came to be that she's here for our Hellraiser 2 review is I was doing research and I thought it was Nightmare on Elm Street that somebody had on some bio that was her favorite movie is horror movies. And she was like, no, Hellraiser. And then I was like, the brain went off. And I was like, Jamie, let's get somebody from Hellraiser and just ask her. And she was so cool. She was like, yes. And if you're watching on video, I have to if you're just listening, she has a Hellraiser doll, Hellraiser shirt, and the box from the movie.
With autographs. With autographs.
All the autographs.
Able to, scurry around me in a few minutes because I actually didn't. The last time we had an interview together, it was audio only. So that's what I thought. That's why I'm not wearing any makeup. Just for anybody who's.
Oh, don't worry. You look a lot better than we do. So.
Like this actually happened. I actually just happened to be wearing my Pinhead shirt today, and it's actually really cool in the back. See, look at. Kind of like. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of looks like something that Pinhead is for himself. It's kind of like a sadomasochistic kind of look. But yeah, also, I don't know if you guys can see here. You see it kind of there on my wall. And then also here, there's the other two over there on that wall.
Oh my God.
Those are actually like the blueprints to the Limit configuration. And it shows how to use it, how to open it, all kinds of really cool stuff. When I found those, and it's like on parchment paper too. It looks so cool. It looks like something you'd find like an ancient scroll or something, but I have them framed on my wall. They're really cool. And I have a bunch of other dolls here in the corner by my bedroom door here, all kinds of stuff. And even speaking of the Chatterer, I have a Chatterer Funko over here. And also this box here, somebody had sent this to me for my birthday years ago. Kind of dusty, but
Don't open it up.
All four of the main ones. And also see Chatterer's here too. He even drew his little Chatterer face there.
Nicholas, if you're watching.
You know what, Doug? I'm gonna leave. You have your expert. You don't need me anymore. That's
no, you don't get off that easy. So let's just dive right in. So this movie, it just picks off.
Okay, yeah. So let me before we even start. So the first thing I asked Doug, I said, Doug, is this a gross movie? Because I'm not into gross movies, and he's like, nah, it's not that bad. The second the movie comes on, the guy's face is being pulled apart by hooks. They didn't even waste a second. I think it was literally as soon as the movie comes on, that's the first thing you see.
Yes, because it's kind of like a recap of the last movie, of the first one. It's kind of like that's kind of to recap you, to kind of, jog your memory how everything kind of ended. And then it's Kirsty waking up in a mental hospital, kind of like, kind of coming to from all of the madness that happened. Yeah.
And the guy that gets his face ripped off, that is Andrew Robinson from Child's Play 3, The Barber.
Oh, so her dad plays that same guy? Oh.
Yeah.
That was her dad?
Yeah. But see, what happens though in part one is they end up taking his skin off his body and putting it on Frank. So it's actually Frank with his skin on.
Yeah, there's a lot. It seems to be a lot, like a big thing, that the skin coming off, and I honestly have never seen a movie like this, and and I said that a few times with some movies we've reviewed. This is definitely a first for me. I've never seen a movie like this,
and that is great.
It was original. It has that for sure.
And then, like she mentioned, Kirsty, you see her for the first time, Ashley Lawrence, who is absolutely gorgeous, and she's super young in all these movies. She was just on Joe Bob's Last Drive-In on Shudder. She looks exactly the same. She's like 22 when this movie came out. She was 20 in the first one, and she's so great in these movies. She's in the first, I think she's in the first 4, right? Definitely the first 3.
No. She's not in part 3 either.
Oh, she isn't?
But she's also in a later one, one of those straight to DVD ones.
Okay.
But she's only in it for a minute though, because it's like her boyfriend or something tries to give her the box and tries to trick her or something. Do you know which one I'm talking about? It's like one of those terrible later on ones. Deader? It's not Deader. Is it Inferno? I think it might be Inferno. It's the one where, she's the girlfriend that he tries to give the box to,
she's barely in it. I saw another one on our IMDb. I didn't know. I never saw it.
Remember, she's like in a car accident at the beginning. He like runs her off the road. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have so much knowledge of the earlier ones. I just, my favorite ones are part 1. I kind of like part 2, not as much as part 1. And my overall favorite is part 4, Bloodline, which is most people's least favorite.
Oh, wow. Okay. We got to check that one out.
It's so nostalgic to me. And the reason why I really like that one is because it goes into the whole history of the box, how it was created and how it became what it was. And
okay. That's what I wish they had in this one more. Because like the first thing that we see right after we see Ashley Lawrence, but Kirsty, we see her in the bed, and then we see her like having like a dream, and it's Doug Bradley. I know what he looks like, but if I didn't know what he looked like, I'm like, who's this guy just sitting there in this long like corridor? And that's like with this movie, the budget for this movie is $6 million, and like legit, it is for all the special effects, all those practical effects. Cost so much money, take like months and years.
I'll say back then it was probably like amazing, and that's why, I kind of, not that I want to see it because I'm not into these movies, but if I would like to see it when it first came out, because I think seeing it now for the first time and seeing the special effects, I can laugh at it because it's like, it is ridiculous. Like it looks so stupid, but for the time it probably was like amazing.
Oh yeah.
I will tell you though, because like even before we started, I think before we started recording, we were talking about when I used to watch these movies when I was like 3, 4 with my cousin, and we were laughing at it. But like I said, that's what we were pretty much laughing at, the effects, because at the beginning of part 1, when they have those poles that are twisting, they have the hooks with the skin hanging off, and they zoom in close, you can tell it's chicken skin. I remember that was like one of my earliest memories of me and my cousin. We were like, chicken skin. I don't know why we thought it was so entertaining and hilarious, but
And years later, you're sitting with a Hellraiser doll.
Huh?
I said years later, you're sitting with a Pinhead doll.
Yeah, it's so nostalgic to me. It's like one of the most nostalgic things to me. This and Pokemon, like I was saying.
Oh wow!
I'm so excited because right after this podcast, I am going to open my Elite Trainer box. The Vivid Voltage just came out today. I just picked it up at GameStop. I'm so excited.
That's amazing.
I'm so excited. Oh my god.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
So okay, let me ask you. So she wakes up at a mental institute, correct?
Yeah.
Why she didn't know how she got there or why she's there or anything? Like, was she passed out in the end of the first movie?
Was she? Oh well, I don't know. I think that he might have drugged her, and she kind of came out of the like drug-induced stupor. You know what I mean? I mean, that's kind of because she was. I think it's like one of those mental hospitals where they drug you and they kind of try to keep you sedated and stuff.
And the thing with her boyfriend, because her boyfriend was at the mental hospital, because the first thing that cop says is, yeah, he's okay. He's already home now. And it's like, then obviously we find out later how like disgusting and creepy and.
Wait, you're talking about the cop with the great bedside manner? You mean that guy? The guy that looked like he looked like Meatloaf.
He did look like Meatloaf.
Yeah.
How about the cops? Why is it always in these movies that we cover, Brittany, the bumbling cops? Like Halloween 5, the cops are like terrible. Jason Goes to Hell, the cops are horrible. Like, but the cops in this movie, when they're in the house, what is that? How are they cops?
I know, but you know what? Like to digress for a minute, I watch a lot of true crime and a lot of missing cases, a lot of murder cases and stuff. Cops are always bad across the board, even in real life. So I think they're just playing off of real life, to be honest.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
We just watched an Unsolved Mysteries last night. Somehow the FBI warrant, the guy was like on the top 10 most wanted list. It just got deleted somehow by accident, and nobody knew where it was for like 30 years.
Oh my, that's what I'm talking about. If you watch more and more true crime stuff, it'll piss you off so much. And it's like, you know what? You just hope to God that somebody that you love never gets kidnapped or murdered or anything, because it's just like a job, like any other job to them. They just want to wrap it up. They want to go home. They want to, well, it was probably a suicide. So, let's just wrap it up. I want to go home. I want to eat dinner. I want to be with my family. I don't want to give it, any extra thought to this. And that's what it is like 90% of the time. It's fucked up.
And that's what these cops are in this movie, because the one cop shoots up a skeleton and then the other cop like looks at the mattress. Well, it's just this mattress is like.
This is a major crime scene. And they're sending like, and they're sending like these. First of all, I thought it was only one cop at a time, but like, there's like, you don't go there with any kind of backup. Like, it was really like, I mean, and he looked scared. Like, he was the wrong cop for the job. Like, who was the sergeant that said, you know what, we have a massive crime scene here. Let's send Larry.
His first day on the job. He was a meter maid last week, but we need help. Everybody's on vacation. And then what this movie does, and I think it's to kind of like play with your mind a little bit and freak you out. There's so many like hard cuts and quick scenes, like scenes that are like 3 seconds. So you see people running down a hallway and doing something. Because from here, we go to like an open brain surgery when the person's still alive.
Well, I wrote the same thing, but they're doing a lobotomy, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Right. But is that what they used? Like a contraption like that? I mean, and they're wide awake.
They normally do lobotomies when they're wide awake. I think.
Really?
That's the normal practice. Yeah. I don't think you can feel it. I guess once you get past the skull or something, it's really weird. I don't know. Based on how it looks like you can feel that a lot. I mean, I know, but
that was crazy.
Lobotomies while you're wide awake. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure.
We'll just if there's any doctors or brain surgeons listening, let us know.
Right?
But then the next scene, so we cut back to Kirsty and she's talking to the cop. I think his name's like Ronson or something. And then Dr. Chenard, and dude, that guy, it's like, was it blind luck that he happened to find her? Obviously, it's close by. Everything that happened, it has to be in the same town. That when she's telling about the Cenobites and he's like listening and he's like, she's kind of crazy. And then it just happens. This is something he's been looking for forever.
Well, I'm assuming that's the only mental institution around in that town, right? Because this guy, okay, so this guy has been doing this for a long time. When you go to his house later on, obviously he had as many things as you have over there, of items. He had cubes and all, which I don't even know they had multiple cubes, but he has all that stuff. So, I mean, I guess, I guess the only thing he was missing was the mattress. He had everything else but the mattress. So, but I want to know, how long was the other guy a doctor for? Because he seemed like a bumbling idiot too.
Oh, dude, that's the guy from he plays the lieutenant in Aliens.
I know.
He's the one that with the grenade and
yep.
Yeah. No, but that whole scene, the thing that made no sense, she's like, destroy this mattress. And then somehow he convinces the cops, right?
Well, what he does is he takes like 3 steps forward and then like talks aloud to the cop like it's private when there's everybody else in the room.
Yeah.
Yes. And he convinced the cop.
Just bring it to my place. Just put it in the back door. It's like, why would they comply with that? It's a crime scene. Shouldn't that go into like forensics or tagged or something for some like evidence, like court case?
Now, was that bed in the first movie too?
Yeah.
Like I said, they don't.
So the bed is a portal to hell? Is that what it is?
No.
Well, they can bring the body back with that. The body or the mattress contained Julia at that point, right? Because you keep feeding the mattress bodies, and then it brings back. Except in part 1, though, it was Frank that was in the mattress, but now it's Julia in there, and so they keep feeding that mattress bodies, and it brings her back.
Is that like a regular mattress, or is it just like a special mattress? Like what's like?
It's a Sealy Posturepedic.
Oh, was it at mattress in part 1 or no? It was like a floorboards.
It was just like the floor. Yeah, in the first one.
Yeah, the first one is the floorboards that was a sucking it up. I think it's just maybe whatever is around, like gets the power or something. I don't know.
Well, see, so this movie takes place right after. Like they obviously made it. I mean, the movie might have been 2 years later, but they made like the scene right after the first movie. Yeah. So why wouldn't they use the same thing that's, instead, if there was no mattress in the first movie, why are they throwing in a second one? Like people wouldn't notice?
No, there is a mattress that he slept on.
Yeah, but Julia was killed on the mattress. That's why. Okay. And so, but I don't know how Frank. Oh, you know what? No, I do know, because Frank was killed, I think, in the house by the Cenobites, because he was killed. And so part 1, the whole opening scene is Frank's doing this like seance. He gets his hands on the box, and see back, we were talking about this before you guys started recording, but part 1 is based on this book called The Hellbound Heart. And they get way more into it in chapter 1, which is another thing I really like about the book versus the movie, because they don't really talk about this whole seance he's doing. But in the book, though, they're talking about how you get the box and it can open this portal that could either, for some, could be demons, for others, it could be angels, or for some, it could be angels or demons. And he talks about how like these like sadomasochistic angel demon things are supposed to be there, like drain his cock, and it's supposed to be some kind of weird sexual thing. He's like a very insatiably sexual person or some kind of weird shit. So he's thinking that that's what's going to come from the box, but it's not, obviously. And so anyways, he's killed, in the room by the Cenobites, and there, I get in the floorboards, that's when, like his, I guess, soul energy, whatever, like still like sitting, waiting in this floorboard. So when Julia, she has an affair with Frank. And so when they move into this house, she starts feeding the floorboards all of these bodies, and it's giving him more and more power. And crazy. He first starts out like a skeleton with like flesh or not flesh, but muscle. And then he starts like getting a skin. They have to go find him a skin and everything. That's how they get Larry's skin. But
yeah, it's pretty wild. But it's funny that you mentioned that. Now that makes a lot of sense, because when Dr. Chenard, when he talks about, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but when he mentions about Julia is like, do you want this? And he's like, I've wanted this so bad. So again, they didn't mention the angel part, because I wouldn't think he would want what happens to happen. But now that makes more sense that there's angel. Yeah. It's like a 50-50, coin toss, I guess.
But yeah, it's also supposed to be more like these sexual demon. There's like not demons, but like these sexual creatures that are supposed to like drain your like sex. Like they're supposed to be like these insatiable sexual like angels or some weird stuff. That's what I'm saying. Like, explains it so much more in the book. They don't even talk about it at all in the movie, but which is really weird. But it's a very weird section.
Well, there's definitely a sexual scene that I have a question about later on. So when we get there.
So then we real quick meet Tiffany, who just perfect to put in there. She's great at puzzles. So she's sitting there like doing just like a regular, like right at this point, jigsaw puzzle.
Yes. No. No. It's just like a wooden puzzle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was like a weird kind of puzzle. Like it almost looked like she was making a box, like like the cube. So
she can solve any puzzle. She's like a master of puzzles, and her mother sent her there because she was worried for her. That's all she did was just puzzles. And that's part of the reason why they wanted her, because she could solve the puzzle.
Oh. You mean the puzzle where you just touch like the center of the circle and it opens up?
Not only that, because there's this whole thing. Remember, she turned it into this like diamond thing.
Yeah.
And that was like what opened the gateway to Leviathan into the labyrinth and everything like that. That's what they wanted.
Yeah, but it didn't look like she did much to open it. It was really like it looked like she pushed one thing and it started moving. Like I would think like it'd be like more like a Rubik's cube.
Like that, you turn like this in the middle. Oh no, this
that's it.
Here. You turn and then you press in the middle and then it goes.
Yeah, that's it. Very simple. Like they should have given her a Rubik's cube and say like, all right, you solve 2 colors, then you can get them.
But see, here's the thing though, is like I know like all in all the movies, it is very easy for them just to open it and then Pinhead comes, but they don't open the labyrinth where Leviathan is, and I think that's what the difference is.
So the cube has multiple options.
Well, they were opening that dimension that took them to the labyrinth. Remember that weird, crazy maze thing with the diamond in the middle, and it was like spinning with the black smoke coming out. Yeah, so Leviathan is the god of the Cenobites. He rules the Cenobites and creates the Cenobites.
Wow.
We have our expert.
We do have the perfect person for this. But then when we see Chenard after that and he goes into the basement, holy shit. The people
dude, you think that's how they had like, like the worst of the worst, like mental patients, they put him in a boiler room, like with like, that was creepy.
Dude, the one guy, when he talks to him, the one guy, and he replies 105 years and he still doesn't know my name. And I'm like, he can't be that old. And I'm just like, just what they're doing to these people. And this is all part of this plan that if he finds like the cube and if he's able to do it. So this guy's putting a lot of eggs into this basket.
Wait, you think he's keeping them down there part of the plan?
Oh, it is. You can see later in the movie, you see him use those people as like, nobody knows those people are probably still alive, like family wise, because he uses them to open up everything and to test on them.
Mm-hmm.
So when they all have the extra cube later on, there's more than one cube? I thought it was one cube.
Mm-hmm.
There's even a mini cube. We see one guy later in the movie with a mini cube and hooks in his eyes.
Yeah.
So I have no idea.
I know it was crazy too. They just added in all these other cubes. Like you can just get them all over the place, and there's not just one. You remember that room? They go down there, and there's all these like mental patients, and they're just like, like just trying to. I don't know what the point of that was. So, yeah.
All right.
So then Kyle, who's the other doctor, he overhears like what we mentioned before. Chenard asked for the mattress, and like he right away is like, you know what? I believe this girl. I wonder, like you mentioned before, Jamie, like how long has he been a doctor? But how long has he worked there?
That's what I meant. Like, yeah. But I mean, that place also. You're talking about a mental institution, and there's no locks on the doors. There's like she was able to walk around. Now they think she's crazy, or they're pretending like. So she was able to get up out of bed, walk around, visit other patients, and look at the girl doing puzzles. So like the place is kind of shady to begin with.
No,
yeah, well, it's not for the criminally insane. So I think maybe if it's for just regular mental patients, they're allowed to wander, right?
Doug, have you ever been to a mental institution?
Well, I don't like to talk about it.
I just imagine though the criminally insane has to be locked down, but otherwise, why would I don't know? They're not dangerous.
Yeah, I don't want to take that chance. I mean, if they're there, I don't know. I mean, But again, maybe that's what the whole point was, to get her to see the girl at the puzzle, because she was kind of part of the plan.
Yeah, no, that was the big part. And then when she's in the room and she sees what she thinks is her dad, right? I think he writes like, "I'm in hell, help me," and that sets her off.
Was she dreaming that?
No,
Well, I'm sure a little bit of
Because the doctor didn't see that.
It was real. Because remember, she touched the blood on the wall.
Oh, you know what? Okay,
it was real. But I think it was like some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Something that was created anyway by Frank to try to lure her down. Remember in that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then it popped.
I'm glad you said that, because this is like a second time in this movie where someone has to touch the blood and then lick it. To like,
I
what
know,
was
I
the
thought it
point?
was weird too. She like she didn't lick
Yeah.
it, she like rubbed on her face.
Yeah. So what's the point of that? I guess you want to maybe touch it to see if it's fresh, but why taste it?
I know. She was like, I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe she knows. Maybe she knows her dad's like B positive, and she was. Maybe she knows. I don't know.
So you think if you could tell what kind of blood type you are by licking it?
I would say some have more zinc, some have vitamin C. I don't know. But no, then the next, so this is what's crazy. So this is when she tells them about she's telling them again about like what she just saw and the cop and Chenard. And then Chenard's like, yeah, she's crazy. And like you see him like his eyes like light up. Then the next scene, this is where Kyle, dude, this movie just, again, I know Jamie with the recap in the beginning, it's a little crazy, but the next scene is so wild. When Kyle goes in the office and he sees all the stuff on the walls, basically everything that Kirsty was talking about, and then the bloody mattress on the floor with the chains, that is just like,
well, that alone, that seeing the like obviously he had some kind of shrine or whatever research that he's doing on everything else for years, but to see the actual mattress there, he's like a Dr. Frankenstein, this guy. I mean, in more ways, that was weird. I mean, that was pretty wild.
And then the fact that, no, I was going to say, when he's looking at all the papers and they're doing zoom ins, we see Doug Bradley. Well, I guess we can kind of guess it because we know what he looks like. But then we see that from like the opening scene. But then there's one paper that's titled like, "Is death the fourth dimension?" ? So that goes into what Brittany said. That's actually in the book, like the angels. So maybe that's why he's like, hey, I want this to get to that. But I don't know if I could go through what he has to do. That's a lot of years, like planning this. There's a lot involved to be able to have sexual demons like take care of you.
Yeah, but maybe he's lonely. He might be lonely.
Maybe.
I mean, I didn't see any, women around him. But I mean, if you're Kyle and you see that bloody mattress there and everything else, how quickly would you turn around and get out of there?
Oh, dude, I jumped through the glass.
I mean, he definitely took his time, yeah.
And then this guy, so the guy that he brings in, like the crazy guy, like it's weird because in the one shot we see like his POV sort of in a way, and he sees the maggots on his arm, but then the other shots you don't see it. So it's like what they're doing to this guy is making him think he has maggots, but when he hands him that blade, that is like even though it's fake, obviously it's a movie, but it looks so real the way watching this guy do this. And then when you see Julie, that is just like wild.
Well, I didn't realize, again, because I don't know anything about the movies. When I saw Julie come out, I was thinking of the guy at first, just a demon guy. I didn't until I saw the muscle. You see boobs. And then I'm like, all right, it's a female. Like I had no idea what was going on in this moment. So, but I did think it was a guy coming out of there first.
Yeah, it looked just like Frank in part one. That's how he looked coming out of the floorboards when you were trying to bring him back to life, feed him the bodies. But the thing that confuses me though is in part one, like I said, when they got him to where he was like muscle and bone and all that, they went and got Larry's skin to put on him, but somehow Julia in part two, she got her own skin like grown back on her body.
Oh yeah.
Well, and then I maybe I was confused, but it looked like they went like clothing shopping with all the like bodies hanging on the ceiling. Like I thought, like she was trying on different skin. Like was that what she was doing?
I think so, sort of.
Oh, I know, but yeah, she still got her own face and everything back. Because like, how do they do that though? Because they
Perfect match.
had all the wraps on her, all the bandages, like they were growing her skin back or something. But they couldn't do that for Frank. I don't know. That was weird.
Well, first of all, I would think if your body's that bloody with just muscle and everything else and no skin, and you put bandages on there, that's gonna stick to it. That's gonna be hard to peel off.
Yeah. Oh.
And it'd be red pretty quick. It would definitely soak it up pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you see her come out like that first time, again, the special effects in this movie, some are dated, like obviously like stop motion animation, even like great movies like, like Beetlejuice, the ones that use that, you could tell that it's stop motion, but it's still, some of it looks still really good. But that suit, that looked like, when you're watching those videos in like health class in your middle school, that looked like an actual like muscly body.
I would hate to wear all that makeup like that.
Oh, yeah. And here's the fun, and then you see her spine showing, which I thought was pretty cool. But here's the funniest part, I think, for me personally, that I actually like laughed. So she's all red, she's like bleeding, and he takes her back to his house that's all white.
I wrote the same thing down. Like the cleanest, whitest house possible. White rugs, white walls, and he gives her a white suit.
Yeah,
that was the best. And then it was just blood right through, bloody handprint on the wall. It's like, oh
yeah, but you know what though? I would think there'd be a lot more blood. Like it was only one handprint. Like the rug. I mean, I go outside for 2 seconds. I walk in, I have dirt on the rug. Within. So I mean, there definitely should be like footprints of blood all around.
It was a rental that they shot for like a couple days. They couldn't Stanley Steamer said they couldn't get like too much fake blood out of the carpet. But in the whole thing, I'm just like, oh my God, dude.
Well, you know what? It was funny. The one thing that we skipped when she first came out of the bed, and I guess she's looking at the doctor. She says a line to him, says, "Don't be scared of me." Now, if you've never seen something like this, how can you not be shitting your pants? I mean, seriously,
That's like the line that makes you be scared. Like, I don't think that's the line that makes you feel more comfortable, especially when somebody's looking at that. And then you talked about it, Jamie, with the gauze, and then they start making out.
Ew, yeah.
Now, there's a lot of gross scenes in this movie. I mean, bloody gross scenes. I think that was the grossest scene.
Oh my God.
Like why? Like what was he think? Again, I know he's lonely, but I mean, if he knows they're planning to get skinned, wouldn't he wait?
Yeah, shouldn't he know that from some of the readings, or there's something that he has research on that he knows how to get?
Well, obviously he had a whole room filled with bodies that she's gonna try on. So like why? Like he couldn't control himself. He couldn't wait.
I don't know, because we see later what can happen from kissing multiple times. So wouldn't he know, like, hey man, I need to hold back, maybe a peck on the cheek, something like that.
Well, again, this guy, maybe hasn't had it in a long time, so he couldn't control himself.
and then right away, the next scene, again, a hard cut, Kirsty showering, and Kyle's walks in and he just looks at her. She's like startled, and he's like, it's all true. So like right away, like what would be your next thing? I'd be like, get the hell out of her. I know obviously Kirsty knows like what's going to be next, but
why is he watching a shower? Okay, that's first of all, he was watching a shower.
Well, she's hot, so
yeah.
Well,
I agree with Brittany.
He had one of the funniest lines though, right here when he says I believe her, and like she was gonna go, and he says to her, he goes, "I can get you clothes. I can do that. I'm a doctor." What does that have to do with being a doctor?
There's a whole class in your third semester. It's all about getting clothes for your patient. What matches, what colors, right after Labor Day, all that good stuff. You got to know that. So then we see Julia in that room. Again, maybe she did find someone that looked like her. Again, she really couldn't unless she has a twin. But yeah, that room with all the dead bodies.
Well, this could be another Jason Goes to Hell moment where Jason needed, to switch the bodies, but he goes back to his old self. Maybe she just needed, maybe just the skin on her turns into the old Julia.
Maybe. I have no idea. But then the one girl, man, she's just tied up and ugh.
Well,
What's
they
her
needed
head?
it. Yeah, it was pretty gross.
Right in the back of her head. And
Yeah.
it looks so real. That's what's amazing about Image who did the special effects. It is like real. Like you see the hand in obviously it's not a real head, but it looks like it. Just the movements of everything. It's so just like amazing.
Yeah, I mean, for the time, what year did this movie come out?
88.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty. I mean, again, seeing the movie back then to now, like it's got to be like it was probably so great back then. Because I don't think too many movies back then were as graphic as this. Because one of the things I read, I was telling Doug, is they're saying this is one of the most graphic sequels or like
of all time. Yeah, like
of all time,
bloody.
Yeah, so I mean, for the time, this probably like really stood out.
Yeah, I heard that even part 1, they were having problems releasing it in theaters and they had to like dial it back and stuff, that they're having problems with that. So I can imagine.
Which is kind of mind blowing. In this movie, they show more blood. I went back and watched Friday the 13th Part 7. They cut so much from that movie that it's crazy that they got away with it in this movie. It's so weird how some movies can like get away with stuff, because there's stuff in this movie like even the guy just like, blading himself, like with the old barber blade. And he's just like, that looks pretty intense. But Jason can't you can't see it like an axe going in somebody's head. They like cut away. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, maybe because that's more realistic than this. So I guess they feel that, if it's realistic, it has to, you have to walk on eggshells,
Yeah, I guess so. But Julia, when she is back, man, she's so evil. She's perfect. Like, I don't know how many people want to have for that role, but she just has that look. She almost has the look of what's her name? She turns like a drunk in Hollywood. The lady that played Einhorn in Ace Ventura.
Oh, Sean Young.
Sean Young, yeah. She kind of has that evilish like look like her. But man, the way she nails like some of these lines in this movie and just the way she carries herself. It's so like evil and it's so good. And then they go to the house, like Kyle and Kirsty go to the house.
I give Kyle a lot of credit here because after he saw what he saw, how can he want to go back?
I don't know how either.
I mean, that's seriously. I mean, unless he hasn't had it in a long time either, and he seems, he watched it shower and now he's into her, and he's like, all right, because I would not want to go back.
No, if I walked in a room and I saw flies in someone's mouth, I'd be out in like seconds.
Flies? He saw a dead body come out of a mattress.
Yeah, he knew Kirsty. Again, he's a really nice guy for helping her out. He knew her for like 7 seconds. And he's like, I'm going to lay it all on the line for you. Because when Julia comes up and she just starts making out with him, and then they do that turn shot, and then you just see all these things like kind of like pulsating on his neck, and he's dead. And that's where she's back right there.
Again, he walks into this room filled with horror of hanging dead bodies. How soon do you get out of there? Like the second I get a whiff of that blood and see someone hanging, I'm running out of there. Like he's like in there, he's like checking out the place, like he's taking his time. Like, yeah.
Well, he's a doctor.
That is true. And he knows how to get clothes. So I guess he wasn't really worried.
Maybe that's what he was doing. He was trying to size them. He's like 32, 30, medium. But no, that whole God. And then it goes to, and then right from there, we see Kirsty. She goes upstairs. She's going through stuff. She finds the photo of Pinhead as a person. She grabs it. And then Chenard has Tiffany, the puzzle master, working on the puzzle.
How does she know that's Pinhead?
I have no idea.
Oh, when she finds him as a picture?
Yeah. Like, how does she know?
Eyes, maybe those eyes.
Yeah, like maybe it looks kind of like him. I don't know. Oh, didn't she have some kind of like dream or something like that? Where?
Well, she dreamt.
Oh yeah, she had that dream. Yeah, there you go. She had that dream in the beginning. So okay. So she has a connection to Pinhead. Is that like?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but that's what it was. That opening scene of the movie. Yeah. She had that dream, and she was like, "This guy looks familiar." So it
Then
works
that's
out.
how she ends up getting the upper hand. Also, when she sees all the Cenobites and she has the picture and she was like, remember, you're human. You are
Yes.
human. And they all put their head down like, she's right. It's like, you guys are supposed to be evil beings.
Yeah, I know. That whole scene was such a weak.
Oh,
But I'll tell you though, when they show you him becoming Pinhead, was pretty cool.
I like that.
Hammering the nails in his head. Like yeah.
No, I really no, that was a really cool scene. So then Chenard gets the box open and dude, the glass starts shattering. The room gets like super bright. And then the walls open up, and then you see everyone. You see Butterball, Chatter.
This scene reminded me of Beetlejuice. Like a door.
It was kind of, yeah.
It became Beetlejuice, like opening the walls to go into the underground lair, and yeah, you see these people come out. Now, does he always wear sunglasses, Butterball? Right?
Now behind you, he's not.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if I don't know if they were just posing. I don't know if it's like really from a scene from the movie but like he was wearing sunglasses. Like
I know.
Does he wear one in the first movie or just?
I don't remember.
I think he does actually.
I'm sure Brittany knows this because she's Hellraiser's super fan, but they all know each other. Like they all know each other. Clive Barker was friends with Butterball. Butterball went to acting school with the Chatter, Nicholas Vincent. I don't know if the female Cenobite was. I'm sure they all knew each other, but it's so cool. As soon as Clive Barker like gets this movie after Stephen King called him like the next like voice of horror, he chose all of his buddies to be in it, which is pretty rad that he like.
Yeah. I also read too. What was the one? Simon. What again? What was his name? Simon. Fuck, I can't remember his name. Simon. Brandt. What do you say his last name? I can't read it on here. Simon something. The one who plays Butterball.
Oh yeah, I don't know his last name.
Yeah, it starts with a B. But anyways, and I was like trying to look on here, like I know the signature, but I can't read it. But anyways, I guess supposedly he wrote the Books of Blood are was it Books of Blood? Yeah, Books of Blood. It was based on him. But at the time when the movie came out, he was far too old to play the main character. So he had done a cameo in the movie, but I don't know. I was like, the Books of Blood. I was like, how does he even really base it on him? Like, I know he was completely different in real life. He's not even fat. Like, he's just, like normal looking guy. But he doesn't have tattoos on his body. I don't know if he got that idea. But here's the thing, though, is like he could say that all he wants, but that was such a ripoff of Ray Bradbury's Illustrated Man. Now, there's been so many movies, TV shows, books, other things that have been ripped from that, and I was like. Yeah. Well,
it's not only that he's too old. Also, he's too fat because I can't imagine a fat Pinhead. Like it wouldn't have the same, feel to it, right? Then you said he was supposed to be the main guy, Butterball.
Oh no! In Books of Blood.
I thought he was supposed to be like Pinhead. I was like.
So I guess when he wrote Books of Blood, he based it on.
I got you. Okay.
The real life character, the guy.
I got you.
The guy Simon, whatever his name is. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. When you read what that story is about, Books of Blood, I was like, he totally got that from Ray Bradbury's Illustrated Man. I don't know if you guys have read that book or heard about it, but there's been so many TV shows, movies, everything that I've seen that came from this, that have been based around this. But Illustrated Man, though, it's so pretty much, and it's pretty much the basis of Books of Blood too. Just so there's these tattoos on this guy's body that tell the story. That's like the basis of it. Overarching story, and there's obviously there's a lot more that break it down to make them very different, but I was like that's so Ray Bradbury. And then also there's all these stories within Illustrated Man because each tattoo on his body tells a story. Oops, come here.
Oh wow.
Too much when I'm talking, but each story tattoo tells a story, so each chapter of the book is a different story.
That's pretty cool.
And even there's been TV shows and movies and stuff made on each of these individual stories too. Like there's this one called 0 Hour that was based on, I don't know if you guys remember this TV show that was on Fox a few years back, but I don't remember the name of it, but it was like these kids that were talking to this alien called Drill in these bushes. Do you guys remember that vaguely?
No.
But that was such a ripoff of that story, 0 Hour. And then I think it was this one, I think it may have even been like a Nickelodeon or some sort of family kind of network that had made this movie that was called, I think it was called Smart House. I don't know if you guys remember that from maybe
yes, it was on Disney, and we interviewed the dad, Kevin Kilner, the mom in it. The Smart House voice is Katie Seagal from Married with Children, Peg Bundy.
Yeah, so there is the very first short story in Illustrated Man is totally a ripoff, or they totally ripped it off from that first story. And so it's about, but the real story though is a lot more gruesome. So it's about these kids, and they live in this house that's like a smart house. And the thing is too, like, so sorry to digress for a minute, but this book was actually written in 1951. And it's still so ahead of its time even now. The stories are so futuristic and so out there. It's crazy. I mean, this is one of the best reads ever, called The Illustrated.
Check it out.
It's so good. It'll really, really write in. But anyways,
that's wild. 1951 and predicting that.
It's incredible. Ray Bradbury.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, yeah.
For a reason. I mean, yeah. So, but anyways, the first story though, the kids, they have this room in the smart house, this playroom. So whatever they imagine will come to life in this room. And so the parents were getting scared because the kids were imagining like tigers eating each other and stuff and ripping their bodies apart. And like, so they were like, they tried to lock up the room, and they boarded it up so the kids couldn't get into it. But then one day they heard screams come out of it, and the kids got into the room, and they lured the parents into the room. And because the kids were like so addicted to this room. And so they lured the parents in so they could get killed by the lions or tigers or whatever was in the room, so that they could have access back to the room again.
Wow.
Wow. What a way to go. Jesus. Wow. That's insane. So one thing that was really cool, and then we'll get back to the movie, was Britney. I was looking at like behind the scenes stuff on Hellraiser 2. So they had one when they were doing all the makeup tests, and the female Cenobite, because all of them were like dancing, like in their like Pinhead's dancing, like this, just like they're all like joking around. But the female Cenobite, she grabs a banana and she goes, does this do anything for you? And starts like sexually, like with the banana, and Pinhead is like dying laughing. It's funny. There's like two parts to it, but it's cool seeing them all get into the makeup, like the stages of it, because that Pinhead costume's like pretty intense.
Well, his entrance was pretty cool.
Oh, dude, when you see them walk in, the way they come in.
But his entrance, when he walks in alone and you see him like, then you're like, all right, shit's about to get real. Like, that's, dude.
Yeah.
No,
right, there's like those vents that come out of nowhere that just open up, like in the walls. It's like, all the smoke comes in and the blue lights, and then
it was a great entrance.
They know how to make an entrance. That's for answer.
And then
Did it say how long it takes them to get into makeup on the behind the scenes?
Yeah, you could watch it. Yeah, it's on YouTube if you just look it up.
Did it say how long it takes them to get into makeup?
Oh, it didn't show how long. They showed it in like different stages, because he was just normal, and then when they had it put on, he was just like dancing around.
I would think when they're skinless, that's got to be the longest, because I mean, and that's gonna be the most uncomfortable too.
Yeah, taking all your skin off.
Maybe that they put on like a whole suit, and then they put blood on. Yeah. And one thing that I realized when I was looking at some like behind the scenes stuff of part 1 a while back is that the person that plays Frank as the skinless body is a whole different person. It's not Frank. It's not the Frank actor. So I don't know why they do that.
Maybe he had a better body.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe that actor, the guy who played Frank, maybe he was just like, I don't want to do that. And they wanted Frank, because I don't know what else Frank was in, but like Andrew Robinson, like Larry, if he said like, hey, I don't want to do it, they'd be like fine with it, because he's like pretty big time actor, Dirty Harry.
But do you think if Butterball, or is Butter being Butterball?
Butterball.
Do you think, listen, I'll be in your movie, but I got to wear sunglasses. All right, go ahead.
This is the part where we get like so many weird quick things, dude. The one my green screen's obviously in my shed, but the one part where the baby is sewing its own lip shut, that is like nightmarish. Then we get a clown that has no eyes and is juggling its own. Yes,
this whole scene was bizarre. It was like a circus. It was like a weird, like, and this is where I'm like, all right, what is going on? Like, I'm like, now I'm totally lost. Like, I don't know what is going on. So yeah, it was, and that's why it reminded me of Terror Tunes, because I feel like there was a lot of like just things thrown at you.
Yeah, it's kind of like a compilation of like all these
special effects, and look at all the special effects we have, and look at this. Yeah.
Because then
they have like nothing to do with the story.
Yeah.
I
and then we
agree.
get a super hard cut to Kirsty. She's in her house, and then she's looking at paintings. Then just blood starts pouring out from everywhere, and dude, then there's like cockroach, and I thought like again, she's 22 in these two movies, but God, that would like freak me out. I know like a little cool thing behind the scenes when she's talking about these movies. She's like, we're talking about this one. She's like, yeah, I got to do a lot of like bloody, gross things in this one. But that whole scene with the roaches and just
wait. So that's the scary scene. That's the gross scene for her to work with, but not the people hanging by hooks and like blood all over the place. That's okay. That's normal.
Well, if it was real roaches, God,
those are real roaches.
Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, I would assume working on a set like this, it's got to mess with your mind a little bit when you're constantly seeing these dead bodies and how graphic they make it. I mean, it's got to like play with you a little bit, you know?
Yeah, you're right. Those were like Hollywood roaches, best roaches out there. They worked in Joe's apartment 10 years later. They know what they're doing. And then she has like a nightmare, and then she kind of blacks out. She wakes up, and then she's surrounded by everyone. The one thing that's amazing about her, obviously she encountered them in the previous night, I guess. And they kind of like take a liking to her, Pinhead, because he kind of like lets her go.
Yeah, but do you think it's because she's helping? Was it Tiffany?
Yeah.
Right?
No, she made a deal with him. Remember, she made a deal with Pinhead to bring him to Frank because Frank escaped hell.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
And so she was going to make another deal with him too. And he was like, he's like, if you fool us again, your torture or something like that will even be legendary in hell, and all of your suffering will be legendary.
Some of his conversations were almost too normal. That he had, like, I expect like scary, like deep, like he was like having normal conversations like over breakfast.
I know, that's what I was saying too. That's what really takes away a lot of the real horror factors. It can be reasoned with so easily for being demons. It's like all she did was show him a picture. It was like he's like, I remember, and everyone else like put their head down, like I remember too. And
we're good. We're good now.
And then they just started attacking the other guy, Leviathan. Through their leader. I mean, like really, that's all it took.
Well, that scene.
Like, I mean, even get to me that easy.
When we get to that scene, but that wasn't much of a fight. Oh. That was kind of weird.
And the fact that like all the other people that Pinhead and they attack with the hooks, they get pretty quick. He like misses Kirsty, and then that's when I think right after that is when she like makes that deal. But dude, when they do that first shot and they show what hell is, that's like the mazes that they have to run throughout this whole movie. How large that is. I guess that is hell, being stuck in like a maze.
Well,
I was thinking that because she would kept going in circles almost, like she kept running. And can you imagine just like just never getting anywhere, just keep running this, like thinking you're going one way and you come back to the beginning every single time?
That actually wasn't hell though. That was the labyrinth, like the maze of the mind or whatever. Remember, Leviathan is the ruler of the labyrinth. That's what they opened up. So that wasn't actually hell, but
so would that be like the purgatory to get to hell?
I guess. I mean, I guess it's a lab because like
the waiting room,
like the maze of the mind or whatever. So I guess it is some kind of like purgatory thing, but that's where the Leviathan lives. But the weird thing too, I find it funny that they use Leviathan of all creatures, because isn't Leviathan
water
from the Bible? He's from the Bible. It's supposed to be like a aquatic demon from the Bible or something, and it's also supposed to be like the ruler of law and order, and so. And also I guess like ties back into, or actually like the part of Leviathan in part 2 though. I guess he's like the ruler of law and order, and so that's why he's been in existence way far before mankind. And so when man was created, he hates man because it disrupted law and order, and so. Yeah.
So okay. So you're telling me hell is worse than any of that stuff that was going on in that maze? Can you?
I guess. Yeah.
Can you imagine, like what? I mean, besides having babies zipping, like tying, like sewing their lips closed, juggling circus clowns and bloody things all over the place, it's worse than that.
Yeah, I guess. But I guess like I'm a little bit confused about that too, but I don't think they actually showed hell at all. I think in part 2. It was just that's like the gateway to it. Because remember, I think that dropped down. Remember how like the girl almost dropped down?
Yeah.
And saved her. I think because remember, like that's so the labyrinth kind of symbolizes the purgatory in between. She can drop down, and like the drop down will like lead you to hell, I think, or something. Like that.
So that was hell underneath.
I think, but yeah, I think they don't actually show hell actually, but. I don't know. I could be wrong, but it is kind of confusing.
Well, you're the expert. You're the resident Hellraiser expert.
Yeah.
So Chenard, and this guy's like so happy, like at this point, because this is when Julia is like, "Is this what you want?" And he's like, "This is all I've ever wanted." And then, dude, what a fitting for a guy that was that evil. Obviously, it kind of, I guess, sort of works out for him. Again, we don't know what his end game was. Was it the sexual demons, or was it what happens next? But when she like kind of like pushes him into like that elevator of death.
You mean when he becomes Doc Ock?
The barbed wire on his face, and then the hands grabbing him, and dude, that thing just grabbing onto his. Oh my god, dude, that looked. Again, it was the stop motion. It wasn't like obviously what people could do today, but like that looked.
You're going. Was that before Frank or after Frank?
That's before Frank.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I think it's actually in part 2, their Cenobite creation and everything was even part 1 and part 2 were way better than even part 3. I don't know if you guys remember part 3. I don't know if you've seen part 3 yet. But that is when it got so cheesy with the Cenobites. I mean, they started bringing it back. Part 4, it was normal again. But do you guys remember that when they were like in that club? And then they had like that guy with like the CDs popping out of his face. And then they had the guy with like the piston head. And they were like running out in the street and there's like explosions. It was like an action movie. It was so cheesy. I was like, oh my God, how did you guys like get worse at this? I don't know. Because they were pretty cool, like the way, and it was pretty scary. And like, especially for the time and everything, like you guys were just talking about how the doctor was created and everything. It was so bad in part 3. It was like, what happened?
We may have to find someone for 3.
I don't know. So then Kirsty, kind of like what Jamie just mentioned, when he goes to the house and she finds her dad's house. And this is when she gets inside. And it's funny, Jamie mentioned that he called the cop Meatloaf earlier, the detective, because when she walks in the house, it reminds me of the video for I Would Do Anything for Love, because there's like a trillion candles.
Yep.
Just like lit. And this scene gets, obviously seeing him back, it's like, oh, okay. But it gets really creepy.
You know, I was trying to figure out what was going on. I thought they were having sex with the wall because they talk about the women going in and out of the wall.
You're talking about, well, I don't know. Were they women?
Yeah. You know that are laying down underneath the sheets.
Yeah. And they were moaning as they came out of the wall, and they went right back into the wall. And then they came back, and then another one came into the wall, out to the wall. Like, I thought they were having sex with the wall.
No, Frank said that they're there to tease him, you know, because Frank's some kind of like sexual deviant, and that's his own hell. He's like, they're there to tease me.
Yeah.
That
was his own hell. That seemed like fun.
Yes.
Like it's
but he could only watch, Jamie. He couldn't partake. And then when they come out again, and it's just blood. It's just like blood. Like the next time we see them come back. But oh my God, dude, just the way he wants to like. That's his niece. And he like kind of like looks at her in like this really weird way. But one line, he's using all these really descriptive words, like very poetic. And then he says, when you're dead, Kirsty, you're fucking dead.
Which doesn't make sense because doesn't he kind of die while he's dead? Because he's dead now, right?
He escaped from hell, I guess, or something, because he escaped from Pinhead. And
yeah, but he's in the labyrinth now. So he.
Oh yeah, maybe that is what it is. It wasn't his own personal hell, but he was saying something along those lines. I'm kind of confused because I guess he was in the labyrinth actually when he was down there with those bodies and everything.
But I mean, he's not alive. Like he's not he's not on Earth. Right? He's in the
Oh, you know
labyrinth.
what? No. Oh no, I think maybe he is still in hell. Oh, you know, I don't know. I'm so confused because at the end of part 1, he does get back a hold of Frank. Kirsty, that was the deal she made with Pinhead, and she brought him to Frank, and Frank, tore him up. We've seen that in the beginning of part 2 even. But so yeah, I'm not sure.
So then how does he die again when Julia gets him?
Yeah, I
She
know.
can die again?
You can die twice?
I guess. I don't know, because I thought that Pinhead got back a hold of him at the beginning or at the end of part 1.
So when you die, you're dead, and then you can become deader.
Yeah, I guess, but you can also be brought back too, so like with Frank and Julie and stuff, because you're in some kind of weird purgatory middle,
right,
dimension or something.
Right.
I don't know, but I think if you go all the way to hell, I don't know if you get brought back. I'm not sure. I don't know. So,
But
I've seen it a bunch of times too, and it still makes not.
You still need that.
Watching it a million times.
Oh my God. And then, so like I said, it was creepy. She like kisses him and she said, "I'll do anything." And I'm like, okay. And then next line, "I'd rather burn." And she throws one of the sheets. And dude, I watched the behind the scenes on that scene. She almost got like lit on fire. Like the flames that came out from that were so close to her. It was not safe. Not safe.
So when you're in almost hell, fire is still bad.
Well, for Frankenstein's monster, fire is always bad.
Yeah, but he wasn't in hell.
He was in his own personal hell.
I think so. I don't know. Yeah, it's very confusing.
And then Kirsty's out of there, back into the maze. Oh no, still in that room, right? And then Julia's there with Tiffany on her arm. And then this is where, again, the kiss of death. She kisses Frank. Frank's like, "I knew you'd come back." And I'm like, they really love each other. She turned on him and like nothing. It's crazy. For what she did in the first one, she was murdering guys that she met at the bar.
Wait, you're surprised an evil woman who's basically from hell is doing something evil?
Well, she loved him. She killed for him.
Okay, but what's love? She's an evil person. She's in hell.
I guess, but
you think there's rules?
I thought it was real.
I get what you're saying though, that they really gave her no motive to want to turn on him.
Yeah.
Like, what did he do? I don't know.
Well, maybe she was into the doctor now. She's into the doctor.
Oh yeah, maybe that is what it is. I don't know.
She killed him already. What do you mean? The doctor's dead already. Well, he's
Doc Ock.
He is Doc Ock right now, but maybe
remember she like turns his heart out or something? Does she eat it? What does she do with the heart? Doesn't she do something with it, or
she just takes it out like Temple of Doom style?
Yeah,
it's like
she just takes it.
Yeah,
she doesn't eat it for anything. Oh
no, that's all. Yeah, no eating of hearts. This isn't Jason Goes to Hell eating of hearts. Yeah. So that's crazy. So then Tiffany and Kirsty run. Kirsty drops the statue, so she has when the box turns into like that
dagger thing,
double obelisk, like a dagger. And God, dude, the next scene, and then it gets super windy, like crazy windy.
Oh, the door's open.
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, it wasn't just windy out of the blue.
When it's super windy in the labyrinth, that if one door opens, the whole place.
This is hell we're talking about, or almost hell.
Half hell.
Half hell.
The gateway to hell, kind of.
The gateway. But yeah, so then we see Chenard, and I kind of skipped ahead with the Doc Ock part, but that kind of reminded me of like that the creature in Stranger Things.
Yeah,
just the way like the end of it looked. And then again, a quick cut back. Like this is the part of the movie that there's a lot of cuts, and I think maybe to like kind of like freak you out, so you're like almost as not confused, but just the whole part with Julia's skin peeling off like it's
like a suit, like a suit that zips up. That's what it looked like. It looked like a suit that zips up in the back, which I think it was, because that's how she put it on later on.
And it's just sitting in a pile like dirty laundry.
It's so ridiculous.
And it's not moving from the wind anymore. It's just like sitting there.
Oh, skin is heavy.
But no, that was just so weird, that whole part, because I'm like, obviously she has it on, but couldn't she use like glue or tie it better, or
So is she working against Pinhead? Because she creates Julia. Is she working like? Is she not on the same page as Pinhead? Because she creates the Doctor Doc Ock, right? So like, does she have her own? What's her story with Pinhead?
Well, she doesn't want to go to hell. Same thing that she's trying to get brought back. She had that guy bring her the bodies, and Pinhead's going to take her back to hell where she belongs.
So she creates Doc Ock to defeat Pinhead.
Mm-hmm. I believe so, yes.
Okay. So then the next part, they're back in the mental hospital. Kirsty starts just like crying, saying, "Daddy, I'm sorry." And then Tiffany consoles her. And then again, everyone, we mentioned this earlier, all the people that we saw earlier in the movie on that basement floor that Channard was like, I guess like grooming for this, were just like all dead, all like, but the one guy, when he has like the little puzzle box and the little hooks in his eyes, I thought that was pretty funny. But everyone died, but who killed? So they were all, that's what I understand. I guess they all got brought in when they got brought in, but we didn't, I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't explain that part at all. I thought that was just messing with her mind also at one point. But I mean, yeah, because when they go back, you see all the dead bodies laying there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah, I think that you're right.
But I did like the doctor, some of his lines as Doc Ock, when he says, "The doctor is in." And I love that the again, it's stop motion, it's dated. But just the way it looks, at like snakes come out of his hands and there's blades coming out and just like going around, and
it looked like they kept adding more. Like the snakes came out, then the blades came out, then one opened up and something else came out. Like it was
no, one was a flower later and one was a finger that said "come here." Like,
he's like, Inspector Gadget.
Yeah. Yes. No, that was definitely something. And then the very next scene, we talked about it a bunch, was Kirsty goes back and Tiffany, they're in front of Pinhead. And again, he's like, "What do you think? I'm going to fall for your trick again. You're going to bring somebody else that's escaped." And she pulls out the photo. She's like, "It's you."
Well, first she goes, "No deal, just information." And then he goes, "Go on."
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Like that, that's when like the conversation was just so normal. I was like, come on.
Yeah.
I know, literally like any other horror movie villains you could not.
Oh, you can't negotiate with. Like it's just,
no, not at all.
Yeah, imagine having a conversation with Jason. All right, Jason, this is what we're gonna do.
I know. You'd already be
exactly.
That's amazing. He's like the guy in Austin Powers, but Will Ferrell. "Oh, damn, 3 times. You ask him the question 3 times and he gives you the answer." But no, that whole part is just, and then again, you remember, and then like Brittany said, like all the guys are like, "Oh man, we do remember."
They look defeated. Like they look like they're defeated. Like they're sorry for everything they've ever done. That's what they look like.
No, that's definitely what happened. And then how does Channard, how big he is, sort of like sneak in? He sneaks in and Pinhead sends the hooks. He grabs him, and this guy just the snakes with the blades cut the lines like it's nothing. He's superhuman.
This scene could have been so much better. Like some kind of battle, and there was nothing.
No, I know. It could have been not like obviously a different genre, but like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first one against Shredder, how each of them go against him.
Right.
And then they try to fight together. Obviously, if they wanted to do what happens, that they die, but just giving these guys that are the Cenobites, they've killed so many people, just like tormented souls, and they die that fast.
And even Pinhead, like nothing.
Oh, I know. It was.
Yeah.
And that was shocking. I've seen the first one. I might have seen bits of this as a kid, the second one, but for him to go down like that, it just, I don't know.
Yeah, he's not as cool as you thought. I mean, again, it's not seeing any of the other movies. I'm thinking, all right, this guy's like, like one of the top guys. You put him on the same level as, Freddy and Jason, Leatherface. And I've never seen any of the other ones go down as quick as Pinhead did.
No.
So he's bumped off the list in my eyes.
Yeah.
I'm putting Chucky there instead.
Oh no. But then when we see the Chatterer when he gets killed, when it's spinning around, and then we see him as a kid, because his like backstory is that he was like a little kid that opened up the box. They don't really go into that, but I don't know. Is that in the books, Brittany?
What part? I'm sorry.
That the Chatterer, like his backstory is he was a kid that found the puzzle box, because they show him as a kid after it spins around like 3 times. He's a little kid.
Well, aren't they all bad people?
No.
Are they all bad people that become Cenobites?
No, they're just somebody that found the box.
Okay, so that has nothing to do with how they were as a person. Okay.
Yes, it's like, yeah, you solved the box, we came. But then, yeah, like I say, the Leviathan has the power to turn anybody into a Cenobite, I guess.
Okay.
But no, they don't get into anything with the Chatterer when he was little or anything like that in the book.
Oh wow.
The book is really just based on Hellraiser. Hellraiser Part 1 is really based on the book. It's very similar to it. They don't get into any of the backstory. Just like that's why I was saying, like, why one of the reasons why I really like Hellraiser Part 4 Bloodline is because that's when they get really into the backstory. But they go way farther back than that, though. They don't get into like the history of any of the other Cenobites and any of the other sequels besides Pinhead. But they do talk about, I think it was like in the 1800s in France when it was created. You know, there was this toy maker. Was it something Merchant? I forgot the guy's name. That's one I need to rewatch. Is Part 4 my favorite one? But like, he has some weird French name, obviously, like Jean Merchant or something. And he was like the biggest toy maker in the town. And so this evil, crazy guy who, summons demons and stuff, he had commissioned him to make him this box. So this very intricate box, and he had no idea what he was making. And so he was very curious about what he was making. And then he started snooping around this guy's house after he delivered it. And then he's seen this woman. They took this woman, I think she was like a homeless woman on the street, and they just picked her up and they brought her to this big feast, and she was feasting on all this food. And then that's when they had these hooks come down. They hooked up her body and they drained her body. They pretty much took everything, all the organs, the skin, the bones, everything out of her skin, and just had the skin hanging above the table. And that's when they used the box to summon the demon that filled up the skin of her body.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is.
These guys are warped. They're all like, they have all a warped mind. Holy moly.
Yeah. So I was like the first Cenobite that was like summons from this box, but he tried to, I don't know why the toy maker was trying to get in the middle of it, but obviously, he was murdered too, because like, what the fuck, I mean, but yeah, he was, he was sad. He was just, some like innocent guy who's about to have a baby, had a wife and everything. But see that so the thing is too, so another cool thing about it, because why they try to like jump generations and stuff, it's the same actor that plays, so during Part 4, how I was saying it jumped from like the 1800s to like the 90s to like the future. And so that guy Merchant or whatever, so his bloodline, that's why they call it Bloodline. The same guy that created the box, and in the 90s, it came back. So it's the same guy in the future who's on the spaceship. He's related to the guy who made the box, and he's trying to end it. He's trying to end it in outer space. He's like bringing the box out there.
Wait, Hellraiser's in space?
That's what I'm saying. That's Part 4. It's like
don't space. They all end up in space?
Yeah, Leprechaun, Jason.
They all end up in space except for Freddy. Freddy's never gone to space.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yet.
That is crazy.
Space either, or did he? I don't know. Did Chucky go to space? I don't think he did either.
No, but didn't he go to the hood? Or no? Didn't Chuck?
No, Leprechaun went.
Leprechaun went to the hood.
Leprechaun went to the hood. He went to outer space. He was all over the place.
He's done it all. So one of the parts of the movie that, again, a lot is confusing, lots out there, but one thing that was kind of crazy, and it kind of reminded me of like, we just covered Halloween 5, Brittany, and so Tiffany starts talking. And
her first word, I mean, I thought it was gonna be the only word in the whole movie. She says shit. Like, and that's it. And then like she didn't talk again for a little while. So I was that would have been great if that's the only word she said the whole movie.
When she actually starts forming sentences.
Yeah.
And Kirsty, again, their whole goal obviously is to survive and get out of there. But wouldn't you be like, oh my God, this person, she talks. Like, I would be like a little bit like, okay, this is cool. But then Tiffany runs right back, finds the puzzle, and then that is her thing. She's like examining the puzzle, and this is where Chidar flies in, and he's like floating the whole time to kill her. Tosses Kirsty away.
How does she know that's what she needs to do? Like, how does she know she needs that to solve that puzzle? I guess
because she opened it up to get there. You close it to get back or solve it again. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But she's also like a puzzle master. So I think she just inherently knows or something because
she knows what buttons to push when she grabs the puzzles.
Yeah. That's where your whole thing.
But so when Kirsty runs away after she's like, I thought she was gonna be knocked out, but she like gets right back up like right away. She just like, you don't see her and you're like, what's gonna happen? And really, when we see Julia come back, I'm just like, oh my God, she's alive.
Seeing this for the first time, I'm like, first of all, her face is off a little bit. Like they actually made it look like her face wasn't she didn't look normal like she did before. But because I think Kirsty made like a face or something when Tiffany was running off, like something like I have an idea, like a light bulb went off in her head. I saw something and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what she's doing. And I didn't know it then, but when I saw Julia back, I'm like, that's Kirsty without a doubt. Like, I mean, yeah,
perfect fit. Well, I didn't notice that it was awful.
Not only perfect fit, like she had enough time to really put it on, and like how'd she close the back? I mean, my wife can't even zip a dress up in the back. She's putting a full skin suit on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I also wrote down so the snake hands again. This is a different time. It comes out a cactus, a weed whacker, and a succulent plant. So I don't know what he was going to do with that. I don't know what that was going to do.
So he's not Inspector Gadget? I mean, he has everything.
So then when Julia kisses Chenard and then it allows Tiffany, time.
Okay, hold on. So he's basically a monster at this point. He's still horny, this guy?
I guess.
I mean, see, that didn't make sense either. I think he's so beyond that I don't think that she's gonna be able to entice him again. He's a monster.
And just think of your Kirsty to think to do that. This guy, she only knew him for a little bit, but I guess she saw some of the way he looked at Julia for her to be like, this is what I'm gonna do to save the day.
Well, she used that with Frank also. When Frank was like kind of getting aggressive with her, she's like, that's when she's like, all right, I'll do whatever you want. So she kind of uses her charm, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
It was weird,
but he did have another good line. He looks at Tiffany and he goes, your case is closed, Tiffany. And I'm afraid it's terminal. And then right within like a second, his head gets ripped in half because she solves the puzzle. And then that's when she almost falls off into what could be hell. And then Julia reaches for her, which again, it's not Julia, it's Kirsty. But when you see it start ripping, I'm like, holy shit, what's happening right now?
Ripping, it was like stretching. It looks so ridiculous.
And they escape just in time. The door is closing. That's what's crazy. Obviously, when she solves the puzzle to open it up the first time, they're there right away. They're in it. But when you close it, you got to get out.
Well, not only that, when they first go in there, they were going in circles. It was a maze. They were able to figure out how to get back like real quick.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
And something's shooting at them. So the puzzle, the way the puzzle looks like when it's just floating in the air. And I wrote down because the inaccuracy of the shooting, it must have been like stormtroopers from Star Wars.
Oh, you mean those lights?
Yeah, they kept missing. They were blowing up. At first, I didn't know what they were. I thought they were something that if they touched them, maybe it would stop them. But when they show it in the hospital room, it's blowing up the lights, the beds exploding, lamps exploding. So I'm like, wow, they're really lucky. That was a tight hallway. And not one.
Not one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I must say, the end of this movie, so they're in safety. And then we cut to a moving crew. which I thought I wrote down the name of the moving company. It was like some guy's name.
So what I read, those are the same movers from the first movie.
Oh, really?
I guess there's movers in the first movie, and I
When
read
they
that
move in, yeah.
the same guys.
Yeah.
They're the same two guys.
That's
But
really funny.
what I don't understand, if I work for a moving company and I'm moving boxes out of a house and I go to a room that has a bed with hooks and blood over the place, are you still going to move the house out?
No.
And like it happens earlier, there is blood. What does the guy do? He touches it and he licks it.
But the mover does too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that. I don't remember little details.
Well, remember, and then at the end, he gets sucked into bed again. Like, because when the other guy comes in there,
he gets sucked into the bed. He's just like, hey, look at this.
So he touched a stranger's blood stain.
Yeah. No, I know. He was like, he's just like, whoa, check this out. Like, he just kind of like he just found like, I don't know, like just like a cool statue or something. He goes, hey, look at this. but yeah, speaking of statues, they get sucked into it. And then just randomly a weird statue thing comes out of the bed.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah, his moving partner runs upstairs. Well, doesn't run upstairs, casually walks upstairs after he hears his buddy yell.
Yeah.
And then there's like a half a body. And then that statue comes up. And we see the
baby again.
The baby with the sewn lips, Pinhead's face in it.
And you have some guy with long hair.
Yeah, I wonder. I was trying to think if that was Clive Barker. I know what he looks like, but I was like, that must have been somebody involved. It didn't look like the director.
Because he had the last line of the movie. Like he was just like, it zoomed in on him. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
it's to have a bunch of souls and stuff trapped into that in that statue thing. Because in part 3, that's kind of where part 3 picks up with that statue, which is like, no one ever explains that statue really. They don't explain why it was even created or anything. It just kind of popped into existence. And then part 3 is kind of based on that because there's just like weird, like club owner or like DJ or like some kind of like skeezy club dude or whatever. And he has the thing and he ends up, I don't know, how does he end up getting it? Maybe he buys it. He just thinks it's cool or something. But then he makes a deal with Pinhead, though, so it won't take his body. He brings these girls to the statue, and then the chains of come out and take the souls that it needs.
That statue looks like there was like leftover like things from like their budget. Like they bought all this stuff. They're like, all right, we didn't use it, so let's just put it together, make something cool with it, and then show it at the end because we paid for it already.
Oh,
I mean, that was really just thrown in there.
It was. It looked like it was just a bunch of things.
It was like, fuck it. Let's not even get an explanation. Like, who gives a shit? Like, let's just do it. And then they make a whole other sequel about it too, which is funny.
Yeah.
They just threw it in there and they're like, because the movie did well. So that was Hellraiser 2. And the budget for it was $6 million. We kind of talked about it before. It must have been mostly for
that last statue.
All the effect for the statues, yeah. 5.5 on the statue, $500,000 on everything else. But and then it made 13 box office. So again, other horror movies, make a lot more than that and keep getting more made. But this community, when I talked to Nicholas, the chatter, and he told me like when the first movie came out, there was like a trailer out, and like within like no time, because they did an article in like Time Out magazine in London, and like the BDSM community like gravitated towards it. So people obviously love this movie. And again, it's profitable. Like nobody's going to turn around making $7 million, but other movies don't get made. Jason Goes to Hell, which we just covered. That movie sucks. The movie made, I think it made a net of like $12 million. And then after that, they're like, screw it. That sucks so bad. We're not going to make one until God, almost like 10 years later. But so Britney, you were awesome. So what would you say? Obviously you're a huge mega Hellraiser Pinhead fan. Would you recommend people to watch this movie?
I don't know if I would recommend it just because, like I said, it's more of a nostalgic reason why I like it and enjoy it, and like you guys were also saying too, watching it now for the first time is, kind of like takes a lot out of it. You know what I mean? And it would be like, why would she recommend this to me? Oh my God. But definitely for the nostalgia of it. And so I don't know if you can, get nostalgia of something that you didn't have from the past or anything, but that's like literally the 100% reason why I like it. So I don't know. I don't know if I went into it like you, never seeing any of them before and watching it as a fully grown adult. I think I'd be like, this sucks. I don't know. But I don't know. I still honestly I really do enjoy part 4. That's all my all-time favorite. And like I said, a lot of people don't like that movie, but I don't know. I couldn't really recommend that one without, you can't watch that one without. Actually, you know what? You probably could watch that one without watching any of the others, because none of the other ones really go into the history of it or how everything was made or created or anything like that. So this one does, and it also goes through generations and everything. So you can probably just watch that one by itself.
The first time that's ever happened that someone recommended to watch another installment, but that's amazing. Jamie, what would you say? Would you recommend?
Well, I think if you've never seen any of them, I would not. There's a reason why you haven't seen them. I don't think it's necessary to see this one. If you've seen one or other ones, I would say, listen, if you like some of the other, you have to, you got to watch them all, kind of thing. But if you've never seen any of them, I think you're okay not seeing this, because this, besides being a cult horror movie that a lot of people do like, it's a bizarre movie, And so if you want to find a horror movie that's really, I think it's kind of all over the place. I mean, with the special effects and everything else. It's definitely cool. You can take a look at, you can appreciate what came out in 1988 or whatever it came out. So you can look at that, because the special effects are really cool. I mean, for the time. But if you're looking for a good horror movie, I would not pick this one. I would probably go with the original one, even without seeing it, or 4, because you're putting 4 in such a high pedestal. I would say maybe see 4 over this one.
Yes, 4 for sure. Oh, can I make another recommendation too? Yeah. I don't know if you guys have seen part 7 or heard of part 7, Hellworld.
No.
But
I've heard of it. Yeah, that's after Inferno, right?
Huh?
That's right after Inferno. Okay.
I have to be honest with you. I thought there was only 2 of them. I didn't realize it's 9.
Yes, I know. And they keep coming out with them, and they need to stop, honestly. The last one, I literally had no interest in watching anything like that. But somebody, just because they know I like Hellraiser, sent it to me in my P.O. box. I'm like, I don't want this movie. No, I want to keep, my memories and my nostalgia of Hellraiser intact. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. But, yeah.
Wait, it gets worse than this?
Huh?
It gets worse than this?
Oh my God. Literally this last one, I don't remember the name of it. It was was it
Revelation? Was it Revelation?
Yeah, something like that. It was so bad. Because somebody sent it to me, I wanted just to watch I was like, okay, let's see if it's even watchable. And just the beginning, even the beginning, it's so bad. It's not watchable at all. It is the worst movie ever made. It's terrible.
Oh my God.
And it just pisses me off so much that they try to connected to Hellraiser and everything. And the new Pinhead is so bad. Okay, so
I saw that, yeah.
The one before Revelations, I forgot what the name of that one was too, but it's also not Doug Bradley. And I think that one specifically, or was it the last one? It was the director or something was like, oh, well, I can just play Pinhead. And it was the worst. It was the freaking worst. Oh my God. He just looks so dorky too. It's just, oh my God. But back to Hellworld though. That's another one people didn't really like. It was a straight to DVD one, but that one was a really good time. And that one really, you don't have to watch any other ones to watch Hellworld, because it's really cool. It just starts out, it's these kids that are a part of this online community. They're all these Hellraiser fans, this online community, and they come up with this yearly party. It's called Hellworld, and so they come there. It's all Hellraiser themed, and it's super cool and stuff.
Wow.
And so you have to get special invitations to be invited to Hellworld, and Doug Bradley's of Hellraiser he's still Pinhead in that movie and everything too. So, but it's really cool. That was just a good time. It's kind of reminds me of Saw a bit. How each of these characters get into these weird situations where they end up in a weird contraption or something. But there was this character that puts on the Hell World party, and so he brings these specific kids. There's a reason also too. There's a twist at the end that also I really do like, but there's a reason why specifically like these 6 kids he has an interest in, and he brings them into this room with all this really cool Hellraiser memorabilia and stuff, and they're like, oh cool, look at this, and da-da-da. And all these different things that were touching have like some kind of weird poison or something that they go into some weird trance. That's why they're able to like get him into all these weird situations throughout the movie.
Shit.
But yeah, I don't want to like give away too much of it because there is like a weird twist at the end that they don't even know how this is even happening the whole time. They're actually not really there when they think they are. So, but it's already giving away a lot. That's a cool one. Yeah, Hell World. That's fun.
Okay, so no, that's awesome. No, I'll have to check that one out because it sounds. So it's like they're watching. So in the movie, Hellraiser is a movie.
No, it's
okay.
So there's like this online community for all these like super Hellraiser fans. And so it's like all these friends, there's like this group of friends that are all part of it. And you have to get these special invitations to be invited to Hell World. It's like, it's a real place, it's a real party. It's like it's a party at this mansion that this guy puts on. And so they get these invitations. And so at the beginning of the movie, one of their friends dies. And so one of their friends that's part of this Hellraiser community. And that's why, like 2 of the characters kind of are on the fence of going. They don't really want to go. And they're like, oh, come on, we got you to all the stuff, but that character, the one that dies, the friend, he's kind of tied into the whole motive of the movie too. So it actually is a really good story. I don't know why. I mean, the thing is too, I do know why. It's just really everybody gave up on Hellraiser at this point. It just kept going tanking. So by the time Hellworld came out, they're just like, no, thank you. And I think that was actually the last movie before Doug Bradley just gave up on it too. So
I'll check it out. I'm sold. I'm gonna check it out. And so I would tell people to, just like I said for Terror Tunes, which Brittany, you might enjoy those movies.
Yeah,
You'll never see anything like it. And I think for people that love horror, that if you love horror, you've seen these. But if you haven't seen these, this is a movie you'll never see anything like it.
And it's considered horror, but it's so bizarre. It's bizarre. Like, I mean, like if you're looking for a campy, like silly horror, like you'll like it. If you like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, those are my favorites.
Okay. Then you'll like it. Look it up. Yeah.
Well, sweet. Well, Brittany, thank you. I'll put all your links so people can find you. But you have a website that has a lot of everything, right? Isn't it just BrittanyAmber.com?
BrittanyAmber.com. Very easy. Yeah, BrittanyAmber.com. Yes, I go live every week. I have all kinds of exclusive content. I do custom videos on there. It's also the easiest way to DM me too, because obviously on my other social medias, I have millions of followers and stuff. So you gotta funnel down. So it's easier to communicate with me and everything there. And then also my YouTube channel and my Pornhub, Model Hub, all that. And also I was nominated for Best Model Hub for the Pornhub Awards. So if you guys can vote, please vote for me for Best Model Hub. Please.
Yes, definitely.
Vote for Brittany.
I put so much time and energy and work and love into my Model Hub. And so I would love that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much. So the next movie that we're going to be covering, Brittany, I don't know if you've seen it, but we're going to be covering Fletch Lives, the sequel to Fletch starring Chevy Chase. And we got a pretty awesome actress. I'm a huge fan of her, like growing up. Patricia Calambar. This is like early on in her career. She's in Fletch Lives. She's also in Jacob's Ladder, Signs, Company Men, Limitless. She was on 30 something, but her big show was Sisters on NBC, which is like rarely ever do you ever see a Saturday night soap opera. That was one of the shows that just crushed it. It was on for 5 years. And she was recently on The Tick on Amazon Prime, which I loved. She was awesome. We talked about how she met her husband, who was in he was in a Seinfeld episode. He was also in Chariots of Fire. Amazing movie. And she was awesome. You'll love her. So don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. And don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.